Hello, Riche, financial advisor with BPS Financial Services. And on this one shot on financial planning basics, we want to talk about an emergency fund. And a lot of people have a challenge grasping why they need to have an emergency fund. Um, so hopefully this will give you some idea, right? An emergency fund realistically is the foundation for any successful financial plan. It starts with having money in the bank, right? And people today, particularly, look at returns on money and don't really understand why an emergency fund is needed, right? So, what I like to tell people is, if you've got a car, you're probably going to have car repairs that happen, and sometimes they can cost $3,000, $4,000. And if you have an emergency fund, you take that out of your emergency fund and you don't have to go to a credit card with a 15 to 25% interest rate on your payments, right? If you do have a credit card with a 15 to 25% interest and it takes you a year to pay off that $4,000 at 20%, let's say it's $4,000, 20%, that's another $800 you've paid. 20% is more than you can get in your investments, right? So you want to be able to be sure that you have that money there, right? I always tell people to have at least $10,000 in your emergency fund, or between 3 and 6 months of money, just in case something goes wrong. It's critical that you actually have this done. Where you keep your emergency fund is also super critical, because you shouldn't be able to just access it for, I have an emergency, I need to go to Las Vegas for the weekend, or I have an emergency, I need to go to Bermuda for the week. That's a vacation. That's not an emergency. Emergencies are when something actually has to happen that is not fun. Okay. You should have it in a checking or a savings account, or a bank that you don't have access to, preferably a savings account that you don't have access to, right? If you fund at bank A, put it in bank B. If you really need it, you go get it. But if you don't really need it, it sits there. You don't need it. It's going to save you in the long run. That's an emergency fund. That's why it's important, and why it's the foundation, so you don't get derailed as life happens with your financial plan.